If I've ever done the show. Hey, hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host on vacation, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm good, James. Hope you're having a good time.
We are having a blast down here.
Yeah,
Happy
happy
Father's Day,
Father's
Bailey.
Day, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, Bailey, it's good. And happy Father's Day to all the Fun Fans out there.
That's
We
right.
have a double interview show for you tonight. It's kind of a special show. And we're going to go behind the broadcast with some Clemson baseball and maybe some other things as we learn from our first guest. And then we will hear from former Clemson basketball coach Cliff Ellis, and that'll lead to a huge event announcement that's coming up in August. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and all forms of social media. The Fun Fans is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
That's right. And Rubens is the official place to eat for fun fans. Food, sports, spirits, and catering the best wings around with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at rubensc.com. And Rubens is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little out of breath. I ran upstairs to the bedroom of the beach house we're at, so I'm just standing here. I'm having trouble sitting still, but I'm kind of excited too because we got one of my former students on here, a very recent Clemson grad, right, Daniel? Like literally just this past May.
Yes, sir.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to let him tell us what he, more about what he does because I only know a little bit from what I saw on social media. But we are very excited to have with us this evening Mr. Daniel Orr. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. I'm hoping y'all are too on this fine Father's Day.
Yeah, fine Father's Day. Yeah, we're doing good. So yeah, just go ahead and tell us what do you do, what role you play you have something to do with the broadcast of the Clemson games, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I work for the Clemson Video Broadcasting Department. And so we are a department that works with ACC Network, doing all of the Clemson productions for all the sporting events, stuff like that. And so what I do is I'm a camera operator. So I operate one of the big cameras that, directly broadcast to ESPN and ACC Network and all that. And so I've worked pretty much all of the different sports, pretty much everything except football, because I figured I'd rather go to the games as a fan than work them. But
right.
But it's
Good
been
idea.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I've been doing that for the past 2.5 years now as a student, and it's just been a great opportunity for me. And there are a lot of students who work with Clemson Video, and so it's been just great getting to work with people who are my age and who are a lot of my friends and everything. And so yeah.
Now, you mentioned other sports that you worked, and that's the next question. So you kind of already answered that. So I'm just curious, how did you get involved with this? And is it like a situation where if there's a lacrosse game, you guys kind of get scheduled to work, or you sign up to work, or how does all that work out in the department?
Yeah, so I joined up, like I said, 2.5 years ago. I had a friend who was in the campus ministry that I was in. He was involved in Clemson Video, and so I just started talking to him about it. And he told me that they were needing people, and so I was like, "Well, sign me up. This seems like a great gig, great job to have." And so I started out mainly doing. So I started in the spring, and so at that time we were doing all the spring sports and everything. But as I had more experience and everything, I began working like. Basketball, lacrosse, baseball, softball, volleyball, soccer, men's and women's soccer, gymnastics, that now that we had our inaugural season and everything like that. So it's just pretty much all the sports. And so how they do it is that they have all of the, the different days listed with the different sports that are being played. And you just put in your availability and they'll, my bosses and everything, they'll just schedule you, for different games and stuff like that. And so it's really just how they they crew and everything. And usually we don't have many, that many games on the same day. So, it doesn't overlap, and, we don't have issues with, broadcasting to the different networks. So yeah, it's a pretty well thought out, organizational plan and everything. And they do a really good job in deciding, how to broadcast and everything.
Well, you mentioned your bosses. So, and like you said, this is with the ACC network, but then there are crew members like yourself, like obviously either on campus or somewhere local. I mean, is it just anywhere? Is it just students, or is there somebody from, ACC network or ESPN that comes in at all, or is it just somebody that throws something out there online and you guys sign up and go do all the work, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I think about probably 75% or a really good majority of the employees at Clemson Video are students. It's nothing like that was planned. It's just a lot of it is just word of mouth. That's a big part of how we, tell everybody about Clemson Video. And so a lot of people have just a lot of friends who, are students who who have a passion to do stuff like this and to do broadcasting. And so we're, blessed enough to have a lot of students be passionate about working with Clemson Video. But it's also just people who've worked with Clemson Video for a long time, people who are, freelancers who want to come in and, are interested with Clemson Video and ACC Network and all that. And so basically how Clemson Video does it with ACC Network is we work through them. And so it's not ACC Network hiring Clemson Video people. It's, my, bosses at Clemson Video who help hire, all the students and the freelancers and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So they don't send they send the commentators, and I guess that's about it.
Yeah. So it kind of depends, like with the level of the broadcast and the game that's being played. And so like during like regular season games, it's really just always our crew. And then once it gets to like, say like a super regional game, like where there's going to be millions of people watching and it's through ESPN and it's, it's a higher level than the, just the regular season games or even some of the lower like tournament games that we play. We will have our same crew, but then if it's those higher games, they will bring in crews from ESPN, which is what happened with super regionals. And so they'll have those crews brought in from directly ESPN to take over for us. So,
and it's funny that their cameras went out during the super regional.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I know.
I was going to ask you if you were working one of the ones that went out, but you answered my question.
No, sir. Yeah. So basically what they did for regionals is they used our Clemson Video crew and they used our control room that we have, which is the Jervy building, which is right next to the baseball stadium, right next to, the volleyball gym and everything is connected to that. And so that's where we, that's our control room. That's where everything's, broadcasted out of and everything. And so we use that, for like regionals, but then for super regionals, they brought in a crew and they used a truck. They used a basically control center like truck that came in and had, everything broadcasting out of it. But from our understanding, which we actually had one of the engineer tell us, is that the production itself of super regionals wasn't through ACC Network. It wasn't through Clemson Video. It was through ESPN, but it was with a production company that was separate. And so basically what happened was all of the cameras for super regionals got mixed together into like one feed that goes up to a satellite and then comes back down to Bristol, I believe, Tennessee, basically Connecticut. Yeah, excuse me, Bristol, Connecticut, where they're running the main ESPN broadcast from. And so basically what they had to do is they had to book satellite time for the time allotted for the game. And so for the game that for the last game that went 5 hours, that went well over the time that we, thought it would, they basically cut that broadcast, that production at I think it was 6:30. And so at that time, it went to what's called an institutional game, which is literally just 2 cameras.
Right.
It didn't make much sense in the moment, but it kind of makes sense once you think about the logistics behind the broadcasting and all that. So, yeah.
Well, they could have told us that, but they
I know.
Nobody explained that.
I know. It was.
Well, you found out here on the Fun Fans podcast. That's right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep. So hopefully I gave you a little bit of insight, but it was just lots of confusion. But
well, good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
At least there was a reason. It wasn't just stuff's not working.
So
and what's crazy though, and I'm sorry to interrupt real quick, but with them using that truck for as the control center basically, there was not only all those problems and all that confusion. There was also a delay from the truck to all the cameras inside the stadium. And so there was even more confusion with the directing and everything going on. And so that just added to the whole thing. And it was crazy. But, they got their work done. And we're always super, grateful for the crews that do come in, because they always do a great job, but obviously we would have loved to work that, that weekend and that series, but that's just how it plays out. So
did you work the weekend before at the regionals?
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming even when Clemson's not playing, if we're hosting a regional, you guys you're still on the camera working the game between High Point and whoever.
Yep. So I worked all 6 games, Friday through Sunday. And so I was down in the Clemson dugout, basically the home dugout. And so I was right beside them the whole time. It was great. It was amazing. I really enjoyed, everything I was doing. And the atmosphere was phenomenal, especially when Clemson was playing, of course, but super fun.
So were you in the same camera location when everybody was getting ejected in the Super Regionals?
No. So I wasn't working the Super Regionals, but I know. But I did go to the game, to watch it as a fan, and man, we saw all that fun stuff happen.
Yeah, it's they have to improve the way the umpires and gets information to the media. With reviews and all that stuff. But anyway, they'll work on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what some lady walked out there to talk to the umpire. I'm watching it on TV. So that was, from what we were told, the commentators were saying the Super Regional, from what we were told, that was somebody going out there trying to get information for the media to say on TV.
That was the NCAA rep.
Yep.
Yeah, that was there at the game. Yeah.
And is that normal, or do they normally just not even talk to the umpires, I guess? So the games you work, you're just filming it and everybody's just assuming what the umpires are doing or something.
Well, yeah. So it's kind of also a little confusing, kind of complicated how the umpires do it. So they get their reviews from the NCAA basically out in another state. So they're not even the final say for the reviews. They have and usually with different regular season games, the umpires themselves will walk over and watch, screens with replays of the, plays and everything. But in this case, they literally just had to put on a headset, listen to whatever the review was telling them from, I believe it was somewhere in Pennsylvania or something. I don't know. And so they just had to listen to them, I guess, and go based off of what they were saying. But a lot of it, of course, a lot of it had to do with what the umpires were doing. And so it was a whole mess.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, well,
you were right there in the dugout, though. How cool was it going back to the regionals?
Mm-hmm.
How cool was it to be there when Clemson basically won the regional? You're right there where the team was. How hard was it to stay on the camera?
Oh my goodness. It was pretty hard, but it was just amazing. just amazing. Like I was freaking out, as I was trying to stay steady on the camera and everything. But I was showing the crowd, showing the players, showing the coaches, showing everything. And so it was amazing. And just like to be that close to the action, being able to also work it and then, provide shots for millions of people who are watching on TV was just, it was just amazing. It was just absolutely surreal. Like I'd never been part of something like that. And it was just, oh, it was incredible. So incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what if we knew students that wanted to become part of this team of people, how would they do that?
Yeah, so it's really, students or even anybody who has a passion for broadcasting, has a passion for, video production or camera operating or anything like that. If they have a passion for it and they love, Clemson sports, just as fun fans do, probably this podcast. If whoever, wants to be a part of this can. And so like I said, we're very like word of mouth with Clemson Video. We're pretty low key. And so like we try and put ourselves out there a little bit, but we care about the quality of people who want to work with us and have a passion for it. And that's the biggest thing. You just have to have a passion for it. And so if you wanted to get plugged in, you could, look us up on Instagram or Facebook at Clemson Video, and just either message them or message the accounts there. And the person who runs it is one of the upper guys at Clemson Video. And so he looks at it all the time, and he's always looking to bring new people in and to, just fill the crews with people who love, stuff like this, video production and Clemson sports above all, but it's really just, it's pretty low key, but the great thing about that is there's not a lot of, expectations really coming into it. So if you're really interested in it, you could absolutely get plugged in. And so basically social media would be a great start to doing that.
So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. So there more like every major university now has their own video production team, and they're making all this content. Mm-hmm. That's not just sporting events. They're interviewing PJ Hall. They're sitting down with this person. Are you behind the camera for some of that stuff too?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah. So when so for the regional games, when Cam Canarella came up and he was doing his post game interview with the the whole team standing behind him doing the alma mater and everything, that was my camera.
Okay.
And so he was talking directly to me, and then and even during during the basketball game stuff, like you mentioned, I'm usually working the camera that after the game I'll be interviewing one of the players. And so we just do a lot of, like post game stuff or like during the game stuff, and just all that, all that fun stuff. So
okay.
Mm-hmm. That might be fun. That's the second job for me and Bailey.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We could retire.
We'd love to have y'all.
Yeah. So do you plan on continuing to do that after you graduate? Now you got a diploma, you're going to move on to the real world, or?
Yeah, so
a little bit of both?
I would love to do a little bit of both. So I'm actually blessed enough right now to come right out of college into a full-time job. And so my major and my, degree actually in Clemson was financial management. And so I, never really thought about doing video production as a full-time career, because I never, like before I joined Clemson Video, I never thought that I could even do something like that. And so like being at Clemson Video for 2.5 years now, it has really opened my eyes to just how amazing and how interesting and cool everything about, that kind of stuff is. And so it's just something that I do not want to leave. And so I'm going to try my best to, when the sports, start again in the fall and the spring, to work with them as much as I can, like on the weekends, stuff like that. And hopefully I'll start working football this coming season. So, but yes, sir. But we're hopeful with that. And it's just such a great opportunity. I mean, just the fact that, they would give me a chance like that to do such great work with Clemson Video, even though I, have a degree that's not even closely related to, video production or anything like that. It's been such a great opportunity, such a great experience. And I really can't say really anything bad about it, just because I love everything about it. I love the people I work with, and I love, just all the great work that we do for Clemson sports.
It sounds like a great experience, and sounds like you'd be a good fill-in host if one of us are out. And I mean, he couldn't just take our job, Bailey.
Right.
I don't know.
Sounds good.
But, either one of those other two jobs probably pays more. I'm just saying. Daniel, yeah, we appreciate you being on. It's good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
We'll definitely stay in touch, and we should have him on here for real. If he's been going to do football games just every so often, we'll just get you on here and get some insight.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
Awesome.
Thank y'all so much for the time.
We appreciate your time, and you have a good evening.
Thank you. Y'all as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't do that when we were at school at Clemson.
No, because I might have been yelling at the officials or something.
That's it. All right, speaking of yelling at officials and awesome interview, we have another one that's pre-recorded. It's coming up. I'm just not going to – the introduction's in the video, so let's just roll it. You ready, Bailey?
I'm ready.
A special treat this evening with us at this time. We have one of the most successful Division I college basketball coaches around. This gentleman spent 49 seasons as a collegiate head coach, spanning tenures at Coastal, Auburn, Clemson, South Alabama, and Cumberland. Coach Ellis has captured 8 conference regular season titles, 2 conference tournament crowns, 6 conference Coach of the Year honors, and an AP National Coach of the Year. He won 909 games as a collegiate head coach, 177 of those at Clemson. And along with those accolades, just another little piece of the list, not even the whole thing, 10 NCAA tournament appearances, 3 Sweet 16s, a member of the Alabama, Clemson, Cumberland, and Mobile Sports Hall of Fame, the ACC Coach of the Year in 1987, 1990, the winningest head coach ever in the state of South Carolina, Coach Cliff Ellis. Coach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful, guys. How are you?
Doing well,
Great.
doing well.
Glad you're here.
We really appreciate your time. So we have Coach on here thanks to Wayne Buckingham, and he has our mutual support of his Orange and White fundraiser that all of us we're going to talk more about later, but we will be there coming up in August. So Coach, if you don't mind, tell the listeners a little bit about Buck. What's a good Wayne Buckingham story that we probably don't know?
Well, Wayne was a very highly recruited athlete out of high school. And the sad part is he tore his knees up, and it really hindered his career. He was a potential NBA player, ended up playing in Europe, played on the 1990 ACC championship team, played in a reserve role, but of course we had Eldon Campbell and Dale Davis, so that's not a bad couple
Pretty good.
to be behind during that point in time. But I can remember the fact that he could actually jump over the hood of a car.
Wow.
And so back in the 80s, that was foreign stuff. And the fact that he could do that was amazing. He was a tremendous athlete, and unfortunately his knees went out on him, and he never was able to reach what his potential really was because of injuries. But he's a young man that held his head together and had a great career. He's had a good career.
So how'd you, so back then, we didn't have all this internet and YouTube videos, and how'd you end up getting him to come to Clemson?
Well, there was a camp called the BC camp, and it was not far. It was in Georgia, northern Georgia. I think it was not far from, I can't remember. It's between Atlanta and Clemson, and we saw him there. And his high school coach had worked the camp. We just started making the connection, and he was from Tennessee, and my first college job was Cumberland College, which was not far from Bell Buckle. And then he had the Atlanta connection. So it just worked. It was just a fit. And comes from a great family. And he was, we were very excited when we landed him.
I bet. Yeah. And I talked to him and he started talking. I never heard of bell buckle before. And that took me a minute to wrap my brain around that. So yeah, that's pretty good.
Not
So,
a big place. It's not very big.
Yeah. When you think back, what's your or one of the fondest memories of being a coach at Clemson?
Oh, without a doubt, winning the ACC championship. It's never happened. It had never happened before, and it never happened. I mean, it's just never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And to make that run when nobody ever thought that we could. Of course, in 1987, we had a guy by the name of Horace Grant, and we had several other players with him, Grayson Marshall and Chris Michael, and several guys that were a part of a great group of guys, and they finished second. And then in 1990, we were able to win it. And then without question, that is the one fond memory that stands out in my mind, because we had to win it. In the regular season. We had to beat North Carolina and Duke back to back. And we beat North Carolina the first game that week, beat Dean's team, and we had Duke, and it was nationally televised. Back then, you didn't have every television network, but it was on ESPN, and it was one of the highest rated television regular season games at that point in time in college basketball. And Duke had Bobby Hurley and Christian Laettner in that group, and we were able to beat them at Clemson. We were able to win the championship at home, and to celebrate and see the Clemson fans just storm the floor and cut the nets down. That to me is the highlight memory, although there's tons of memories, and there's some tough memories too.
Well, I bet. We just missed that one, Bailey. We were seniors in high school, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I've said on here before, Coach, that I'm the kid who used to read the press guide. Van Hildebrand is a relative of mine, a cousin, so I get press guides every year, and I knew every player in and out. Grayson Marshall's been on here, and we're just reliving my childhood now. But what does Clemson mean to you? You know, personally, you were there for several years. What does Clemson mean to you?
Oh man, it's family. My daughter graduated from there. I've got two grandchildren that one graduated from there last year. I worked with Dabo as a student. She was a student trainer, and worked with Dabo's group. And then I've got a grandson that's a sophomore there now. And when I moved to Auburn, two of my other children went to the public school there. It's family. Still got a lot of friends that I stay connected to, that I dearly love. Clemson's got a big piece of my heart, and it will always be special. Those days were the ACC days. We had had a reunion with Mike Krzyzewski and Bobby Crimmins, and several of us got together, and we talked about how special the 80s and the 90s were. That's really when ACC basketball, when you had those 7 or 8 teams, ACC basketball, man, you talk about a battle every night. And I'm not saying that there's not battles every night now with the league where it is, but it's so broad now. But those were the days, and special time. But it was just it didn't matter where you went. It didn't have to be North Carolina or Duke. This is who we had to beat to win the ACC. Jimmy Valvano, had to beat the Lefty Drizells. We had to beat the Terry Hollands. We had to beat the Dean Smith, Mike Krzyzewski, Bobby Crimmins. Now you talk about being proud of a group that was able to do something. You think of those days. Those were, we call those battles wars, and And certainly no disrespect to our military, because that's really the war. But in basketball, they were some kind of battles. I can tell you that.
Top tier stuff for sure back then. But speaking of that team and compared to nowadays, team did pretty good this past year. And I know Buck likes to say that team was the best Clemson team in history. What do you think about how the team did this year?
He said this year's team was the best in history. I'm shocked.
No, his team, y'all's team back in when y'all won the ACC championship was the best team in history.
That was a different time. I mean, you're going back a different time, but let's just put it this way: there's only been one ACC champion.
That's right.
I don't know if that team could beat today's athletes. I don't know that they're fast, strong, and all that kind of stuff, but I know this. That was a very good basketball team that Clemson had this year.
Mm-hmm.
And but ACC championship, that's where they're going to hang their hat until somebody does that. I don't think that that can be taken away from what that group did.
Yeah, I can't. As a kid, I would wait on Wednesday night Raycom Sports, Saturday afternoon Raycom Sports, to wait on the Tigers to play whoever they were going to knock off next. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
And those guys, I remember those guys. Dale Davis, Eldon Campbell played in the league forever. But do you keep in touch with all of them still? You still in contact with them?
Yeah, we do. At Wayne's event last year, let's see, Horace was there, Dale comes, Eldon's been there, Grayson comes, Jeff Holstein's on there. A lot of those, I don't want to start naming names, Jerry Pryor, all those guys. Yeah, we stay in touch. We sure have over the years. And, families grow. We don't talk every day, but, Wayne has a function in I think it's first weekend of August this year, and I'll go to support it. And a lot of the guys come back, and that's when we can really spend time together. But we stay in touch with each other.
Well, I think it says a lot about the team that you had, because they all support this event, and they just all, Eldon Campbell pops in there, Dale Davis, Horace Grant, whoever shows up, and it just says a lot about the group of guys you had.
You teach family in this day and time. I don't know how much family exists with the NIL and transfer, pull everybody in, out, and all that, but that was a day and time where you had guys that stayed together, stuck together, and it was really a family unit.
And they all say the same thing. Like Bailey said, we've had a couple of them on the show, and they always bring up the word family and speak highly of you along those lines as well. And speaking of Buck's event coming up the first weekend in August, tell the folks why you support that and why you think they should also support it.
Well, first of all, he's family. You support. You go to when your children have birthdays, when they have anniversaries, whatever. You support them, and that's the bottom line. And I don't think I've missed one since he did it because it's family. And look at what he's doing. I mean, he's giving scholarship. I mean, you're putting a name in a scholarship, and that scholarship will be there forever. He's giving back. You talk about today's athletes. I mean, if they're not happy, they'll pick up and leave on you. If they get this situation, Wayne's giving back. And I think people need to appreciate that fact. I mean, he's going, giving his time. He's bringing all these guys back. And he's doing that. And, it's providing scholarship for Clemson. I mean, how can you not support something like that? And, you can't, if you really say you're Clemson and your family and you have a way to support something that gives back like this, I mean, you should do it, period. And I know we all give of our time to help Wayne do this, but I can't think of, and I'm not saying that this is accurate, but I don't know of any athlete that has given back more to a university or to Clemson as far as basketball is concerned, time and effort and going and being there and helping and lending a hand. than Wayne Buckingham. And he's very appreciative of the fact that he got a degree from Clemson. I know he was very close to Miss Annie Tripp. Wayne went through his own hardships there at Clemson with his knee injury and different things, and he stood above all of it, and he's given back to Clemson. I can't be more proud of a student athlete or a player of what they're doing to give back than what Wayne is doing. Yeah, I'm proud of Eldon and Dale with all those NBA championship, Horace and all those guys doing what they did. I'm very proud of them. But I'm so proud of Wayne just for the fact that he's giving back. He's making a difference in people's lives, and that's what I always stress to our players. It's not just about basketball; it's about helping others. And when you're a college athlete and you're on campus, I would always try to say, hey, speak to the students. They're the ones that are going to support you. Learn how to operate. Let you speak. They may not speak to you because they too afraid to. What when you walk across campus, you say, "How you doing?" Things of that type really promote who you are, and Wayne's promoted who he is by what he is, and I'm just proud to see what he's done.
Amen. I enjoy the event, and like you say, is supporting scholarships for kids to go to Clemson, and Wayne was open enough and to tell us that it's specifically for kids that are getting into Clemson, but they have a minor learning disability. And he also raises money for, I think, his school supplies for some local children in the schools there. So it's definitely a good cause in the entire community, not just the university. And like Coach said, it is August 2nd, August 3rd, and August 4th. There'll be a tailgate on Friday night. There's an autograph signing event on Saturday, and then the gala Saturday night at Lakeside Lodge, and then the golf tournament on Sunday. So if you're listening, come support the event. Not just, fans like us. We love being around the former players and coaches like Coach Ellis and being able to meet them and talk to them. But you are giving back. You're being a part of what Wayne's doing, and we're really proud to be a part of it as well. But find all that information on our social media. Just find the links. If you Google Orange and White Alumni Weekend or anything like that, you can probably find it as well. But join us the first weekend in August and help Wayne, help Clemson and the community. Coach, we appreciate you being on. Is there anything else you think we need to add about that?
Well, the one thing that I would say in addition to that is not just about basketball. Danny Ford, I don't know if there's not been a year when he hasn't been there to support it. I know Brad Burnell supported it, Dab supports it, but there's a lot of the football players that played back then. I mean, a lot of those guys that, they come every year. A lot of those guys back in the day, I know one of the Perry guys is there all the time, LeVon Kirkland. I start naming names, but a lot of those football players were there at that time, and they come back and support it too. I think it's wonderful to see the different athletes. I've seen baseball players from that time. I've seen golfers from that time. It's just, Wayne was a basketball player, but he's gotten a lot of support from the other sports too. And I did want to add that to you. And it was good being with you. I wish you the best, and I'll see you guys in August.
Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Have a good evening.
All right.
So you heard it there from Coach Ellis. If you're Clemson, you will support this event. Look for the links. Look for all the information. We could have sat there forever and listed all the names of all the Clemson legends that are going to be there and that normally show up every year. Look for this picture about the Orange and White Weekend, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. If you can't find the information, just reach out to me. Just send me a message or send me an email on any of my social media, and I'll send you the link directly. But I'm definitely going to put the link with the post to this show and in the comments and all over the place as much as I can. And we're looking not only for people to attend, it's not just, there will be people attending, but if you have a business, there's a lot of people there. And obviously, like we said, it's a fundraiser. So Wayne is looking for more sponsorships, people to sponsor holes at the golf tournament, for people to buy the table at the gala and that type of thing. So if you're interested in helping him give back and being part of the fundraiser or putting a team in the golf tournament, as simple as that, just reach out, find the links, look at the information that you'll see on the link. So definitely a good cause, and we're definitely excited to be a part of it for a second year in a row. It's an awesome event. Hope you enjoyed the show. Glad we learned some about some sports media. It was really cool to spend some time with Coach Ellis, and we will see each other at the Orange and White Weekend. So thanks again for checking us out each and every Sunday. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social media, and please like and share. Reach out to become a sponsor of this show. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson had to dip. Go Tigers.